I see you hide yourself underneath the mountain of makeup. Plus the words that you made up won't make you any cooler than you are. But when you're with me and you're half asleep and I can count each freckle and see all your beauty that you hide. This ain't usually how you're like. Then you said, don't you be afraid of when your life's gonna end.
The summer vibes in this book are insane. Just let me read you these lines here. For me, it was almost like winter didn't count. Summer was what mattered. My whole life was measured in summers. Like I don't really begin living until June, until I'm at that beach, in that house. Yeah, the vibes are good.
You had to move closer to me, hey Giles? It's too hot for you today, you're gonna cook.
Slow down, raindrops on the window. I'm dreaming, but it doesn't make
It's the jelly! Hi Giles.
So I was gonna start reading on the front deck, but it's like 30 degrees today. It's so hot, I was sweating. So I came to the back deck for some shade and Bella came with me. So I'm gonna keep reading.
Look who it is! Hi dude! Oscar, you're so cute!
Done. I'm starting book number 2. I literally read book 1 in 2 sittings, maybe 3 actually, maybe 3. I started at the beach, didn't really get very far. Then yesterday I read like 2 chapters, went to bed, and then I read the rest of the book today in 1 sitting. Like I went up to go pee, get some water, get some food, but that's like about it. I did some school for a little bit and then I was like, no, there's nothing pressing that I need to do, so I'm gonna go read more. It's beautiful today, it's such a nice day. It's just been a good reading day. So I'm gonna relax and start book 2, because I really wanna know what happens. I'm like super into this, if you can't tell. I think I'm gonna really like this series. I really like it so far. Well, if you don't know what team I am so far, I have no idea. Conrad was literally giving me nothing the entire first book. Like I honestly couldn't understand why Belly was so in love with him. I was just like, he is giving nothing. Jeremiah, a little bit more, but I also just didn't feel like they had like any chemistry. Like they had a good friendship, but I didn't want them to really get together either. I actually really liked Cam at the start, like when they met. I saw you at the conference and I thought you were the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. Like that was very cute. And I just didn't think they felt that strongly for each other. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe Conrad will grow on me. I don't know, I wanted her to be with Conrad just because that's who she wanted to be with and that's who she was in love with. But there wasn't really much on him in the first book. Like I knew nothing about him. So I'm hoping there's more character development on Conrad and Jeremiah. I hope so. I also just know that Susanna's gonna die in this book and I'm just mentally preparing for that. So we will see. I'll read you guys the first paragraph. Why not? Chapter 1, July 2nd. It was a hot summer day in Cousins. I was lying by the pool with a magazine on my face. My mother was playing solitaire on the front porch. Susanna was inside puttering around the kitchen. She'd probably come out soon with a glass of some tea and a book I should read. Something romantic. Hi guys, good morning. It's a beautiful day today, like I mean 30 plus degrees. So we're gonna keep reading book number 2. This this one right here. When I'm on page 45 right now, I read a little bit last night in bed. This book is so sad so far. There's a lot of grieving in it. Parts of it were really breaking my heart. I was almost in tears last night. Like, I don't really cry during books. I just will never really shed a tear, even if I recognize it's very sad. So yeah, we're gonna go outside and keep reading. We're gonna make a coffee first though. Of course. All right, I'll show you guys how I make my iced coffee. You guys probably know if you've watched any of my other videos because I do this in every one. I'm gonna start with a cup. I'm gonna put some ice in it. Then I'm gonna take my cold brew. I get these at Costco. They're amazing. They're seasonal though, which is super annoying. So you can only get them like June through August. End of August, I'm just gonna be like stockpiling them. I already have like 5 cases downstairs. Anytime any of my family members go to Costco, I make them buy 1 or 2. And then oat milk. This is my favorite one. Sorry, it's the French side. It's the Earth Owns Barista oat milk. It's so good. It's the best oat milk I've tried. I also like almond milk too, but I prefer this one. It also froths really good if you're more of a latte or hot coffee tea drinker. This works really good for lattes. Then for syrup, a little sweetener, I like either caramel or vanilla. Sometimes I do a little bit of both. A little bit of caramel, and then I usually taste it just to see how sweet it is, and then sometimes I'll add a little bit of vanilla. It's honestly not bad. I'm gonna do like a little bit of vanilla. Yeah, that's really good. Cheers. So I'm on page 114, chapter 17. I'll give you guys my thoughts so far. So like I said this morning, the first bit of this was so sad. There was so much grieving. I mean, there's still elements of that. I'm just really sad Susanna had to die. Like, I get it. She was like one of my favorite characters. I just loved her so much. So I'm still really sad about that. One thing I really love is how you get Jeremiah's POV. That really surprised me. I thought the whole series would just be in Belly's point of view. So that I found really interesting. I also found it interesting that we get Jeremiah's POV, but not Conrad's. Yeah, I'm not really sure why she did that. I don't know if we're ever gonna get Conrad's POV. Just flipping through, it doesn't look like it. Like, anytime it's not Belly, it's Jeremiah. So I'm not sure why she did that. At the start of the book, I really did not like Conrad. As soon as Belly talked about what happened at prom, yeah, not a good vibe. Literally the whole first book and like first bit of this book, I was just like, why does she still like Conrad? Like, I don't get it. Like, I get he's hot, but like, come on girl, you gotta have a little more than that. However, he did drive up from Brown and take her out to Cousins for a night, and that part is really sweet, and he's really nice to her, as he should be. Like, I love how I'm searching for that. Like, you know, I really like how the plot in this book, they're going back to Cousins. That just had to happen, because at the start of this book, when Belly was saying that her and Taylor were just gonna have like their own summer and she was just gonna be at home and not at Cousins, I was extremely disappointed. I was just like, no, like, she has to go up to Cousins. Like, that's what these books are. I want her to be at the beach house with the boys. Yeah, I'm definitely flying through this book. It's really good. It's so hot today. I'm like sweating, but I'm kind of trying to get a tan. So, you know, I'm making it work. I'm sitting in the shade because the deck's getting some shade, so that's really nice. I'll read a few more chapters and then I'll go up and look into school. Right now I'm having a good time, so I'm gonna keep reading. How did they not know he was at Cousins? When they were like, Conrad's gone, I don't know where he is. I don't know why that was such a mystery. Like, why would they go to his school first? Like, if you're gonna run away, you don't stay at your school. I would run away to the beach too, obviously. Conrad is such an asshole sometimes, I swear to God. Listen to this. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Just like always, he could devastate me with a look, a word. Like, I'm really mad at him right now. This book has the best summer vibes. I just needed to be on the beach. The beach would make me feel better. Nothing felt better than the way sand felt beneath my feet. It was both solid and shifting, constant and ever-changing. It was summer. I wish I had a beach house. You guys hear the birds chirping? So cute. So I went inside for a bit, did some dishes, put some things away. I'm getting a little bit bored of reading. Like, this book is good, but I should probably do something else today. I booked a workout class later, so we're gonna go to that. But I was hungry, so I got a muffin. I made muffins last night. I'm gonna put the recipe down below because they're really good. And if you guys happen to have a garden and you have rhubarb, I would recommend. They're definitely not like super good for you. Like, they have quite a bit of sugar in them, but they're good, so. All right, back to reading. Right now, what's going on in the book is they're trying to get Conrad to come back to school because he's missing his summer classes. guys. Well, it's morning for me, so I'm gonna start the third book now. Sorry, there's horseflies and they're so loud. Right now, she's with Jeremiah. Her and Jeremiah are dating and they're at the same college. That's what's going on right now.
You were the laughter early in the morning, down in the kitchen watching TV. You were the music that led me to the sixth string, and now it's been so long since I've heard you.
Hello everyone. Tons of horseflies out here, so just ignore that. But we're gonna keep reading. It's a new day. I want to finish this book today. I feel like I can. What page am I on? I'm on page 212 and there's less than 300 pages, so I think I can definitely finish it today. My thoughts so far, why are they getting married? So confused by that. Conrad is again giving nothing, like say something, do something. I just made myself a coffee, as you guys saw, and it's so good. Finished. Good. Hi guys, so I thought I'd film this little clip to put at the end of the reading vlog just to give you guys my full thoughts and opinions on this series. So I'm gonna be going through each book individually, telling you what I liked and what I didn't, and just kind of any points that I wrote down. I did write things in my notes app as I was reading, and I wanted to do this part because I know in the reading vlog I wasn't very good at like updating you guys on my thoughts. I did that a little bit, but not as much as I was hoping to, so I'm gonna film this clip and put it at the end just so you guys know my thoughts and know if you should read these books. I always like to give you guys my full well-rounded opinion just because I feel like that's the point of these videos. This part is going to have a lot of spoilers, so if you haven't watched the show, read any of the books, I probably wouldn't watch this part just because I'm going to be talking about the plot and details of all the books, so it'll ruin it for you if you do. But I don't know, this whole reading vlog has been spoilers basically because I'm reading the books. Like, it's really hard not to. By the time this video comes out, the show will have been out for a while and the books have been out for a really long time too, so I'm assuming most of you guys have read the books or watched the show, one or the other, or both. This will be better anyway because sometimes I have a hard time articulating my thoughts as I'm reading a book, and sometimes I just have to reflect on it for a while. I've watched the show also, I'll talk about that briefly. I think that's all I wanted to mention. We can get started now. I'm going to start out on a positive note. I'm going to talk about all the things that I liked in all three books, so the entire series, things that were consistent in each book that I really loved. So first one is these books are such easy reads, so readable, easy to digest. They're great beach reads. They're great to just bring with you anywhere because you don't have to be insanely focused. It's super easy to pick them up and get into them. You can put them down at any moment. They're so readable that you'll probably read each one in 1 or 2 sittings. That's kind of what I did. I mean, they're YA, so of course they're going to be easy to read, but even if you're like a young adult, even if you're a teenager, I think you'll fly through them also just because of the writing style. Very easy to comprehend. They also have really short chapters. I love that when I'm reading. Let me know if you guys enjoy that too. It makes you feel so good about yourself even though you've read like 8 pages. I also really liked the main character Belly. I liked her POV and kind of her inner dialogue, I guess you could say. It's present throughout the whole series, but especially in the first book, you get so much of her inner dialogue. You feel like you're inside her head, which I loved. I thought that was so great. She's the main character. I want to know what she's thinking. If you're wondering, the first book is completely in Belly, the main character's point of view. The second book goes back and forth between Belly and Jeremiah's POV, and then the third one is Belly and Conrad. It just felt weird to me in the second book to have Jeremiah's POV and not Conrad's, but once you get to the third book, it kind of makes sense. I don't know, in my mind, those should have been switched. Felt like there was something missing. Like the second book, she was with Conrad and you don't get his POV, and then the third book, she's with Jeremiah for the majority of it and you get Conrad's POV. So it was just weird. I thought that was was an interesting choice. I'd just be curious to know more reasoning behind why she did it that way. I loved when they do a flashback to a previous summer at Cousins when Belly was a lot younger. I always thought those were so fun, and it just gives you more insight into what her life was like growing up there. It helps you realize how much she loves it and what it means to her. They did get a little confusing at times. I'll get into that more later, but I did like them, especially in the first book. The first book, I thought the flashbacks were really well done. And then the last point I wrote down for what I loved about these books, these are great summer reads. The summer vibes in these books, next level insane. I mean, summer's almost over now. I read these in July and it was just great. Like, I took these to the beach a few times, read them outside on my deck. They just really made me appreciate summer, and they were the best books to read during summer. Just hearing about the beach house, everything they were doing that summer. Like, I was just so happy reading them. I found them really nostalgic of my childhood because we always went to the lake like every summer in July when I was growing up, so brought back those memories. I could relate to it in that way. The summer vibes were just immaculate, so if you want to read something like that, definitely read these. I'm gonna get into talking about each book individually now. I'm gonna start with book 1. This one's called The Summer I Turned Pretty. These are just the points I wrote down as I was reading. So the very first point I wrote down in my notes app is Conrad is giving nothing. Kind of funny, but just accurate. The whole first book, I just didn't understand why she was obsessed with Conrad. I was just like, he is giving nothing. Like, why do you like him? There is no reason for you to like him because there's nothing to go off. Like, I get it, she's had a crush on him since she's been little, he's hot, but he's giving nothing. Like, he's doing nothing to you. They wouldn't even talk. I was just like, girl, like, why do you like him? I don't get it. That was my first thought upon reading this. Then I said Jeremiah. He just seemed like a goofy younger brother, kind of class clown type. The whole series, I thought him and Belly had a really good connection as friends, and I thought they had a really good friendship, but I never got any romantic feelings between the two of them. So whenever I saw like glimpses of that in the first book, it made me so unhappy. I was just like, they are not a good match. I also wrote in here that I wish there was more dialogue between the characters. Like I mentioned earlier, I did love Belly's POV. I liked hearing her inner dialogue, but there wasn't a lot of talking or communication between the characters, which I thought was weird. It was really hard to get a feel for any of the other characters because I felt like I only knew Belly because I was only getting dialogue from her. For the other characters, it was kind of just whatever Belly mentioned about them, but you didn't really get them speaking a lot. So it was just like, who are these people? Like, I don't know. It was just her opinion of everyone. I like the feeling of being inside the main character's head. I always love that, but it always drives me nuts when they're not speaking. Like if it's a romance book and there's no communication and there's no dialogue, I'm just like, how are they falling in love if there's no talking? Yeah, I don't get that. So I was missing a lot of that in this first book, especially between Conrad and Belly, mostly just because, like I said earlier, he was giving nothing and I wanted to know more about him because you know Belly's so obsessed with him, but it's like, why? I need to find out more about him so I know why she likes him so much. So I'm gonna move on to the second book. It's called It's Not Summer Without You. The first thing I wrote down about this book was that it was so sad. There was so much grieving in this book. I almost cried when reading this. When I say almost, that like practically means I cried because I just don't really cry in books. It takes a lot, like a lot to get me to cry, but this was really, really sad. I really loved Susanna's character. I was so sad that it was her. I was just like, why does it have to be her? She's such an angel. She's such a sweetheart. I love her. I was really sad to lose her as a character, and reading about it was just heartbreaking to see all the kids grieving and all the things they were going through. It was hard to read parts of this book, so I guess just be aware of that. And then I said I really liked how you got Jeremiah's POV. I was used to the story just being told in Belly's point of view, so it was really nice to have that switch up, and I did enjoy it. And then I wrote down, why can't she pick between the brothers? Once you get into the second book, she just starts flip-flopping between who she likes, and it's just like, you can't do that. Like when they're brothers, no, girl, like stop doing that. If I'm gonna be honest, I didn't want her with either of the brothers, so it was just frustrating for me all around. And then I wrote something down about Conrad. So I said, Conrad shows no emotion until it's too late, assumes Belly will know how he feels and he doesn't have to verbalize it. Conrad would never tell Belly what he was feeling, and then if she would call him out on it, he'd be like, well, you already knew that. It's like, you still have to say what you're feeling though. You can't just assume someone's gonna know. So he was driving me nuts the whole book for that reason, among others. There was just no communication there, which I guess it was supposed to be like that, but so frustrating to read. Then I put Conrad is still giving nothing. Like I said earlier, just didn't communicate, didn't talk, didn't treat Belly with the respect she deserved. It was just hard to read in that way. Like I know the author did that on purpose and that's how it was supposed to be, but I just wanted more for Belly and I wanted more from Conrad because you got glimpses of it. There was times where he was so sweet and you knew that he wanted to do the right thing, but he just couldn't do it, and it was frustrating. How many times can I say the word frustrating? It was so frustrating. And then the last thing I wrote down was, what the fuck? Their dad, Adam, get it together. I hated Belly and Steven's dad and Conrad and Jeremiah's, especially Adam. Like, cheats on her with his secretary while your wife has cancer. Like, you can't go much lower than that. I think he was supposed to be a very flawed character, and we were supposed to feel that way towards him, but again, just frustrating. So we're gonna move on to the last book in the series. This one's called We'll Always Have Summer. This one was definitely my least favorite book in the series. I want to say this, but I feel like it's gonna be too mean. I just feel like this book didn't need to exist. I feel bad saying that because I love books and I never want to say they shouldn't exist, but I just didn't think this book was necessary in the series, and the majority of it was so frustrating for me to read. Like, I just wanted to... This was like a train wreck, and not in a good way. Like, the whole book, I was just like, why? Everything was going wrong, and it was so hard to read. The first thing I wrote down about it was, you can't have both brothers, Belly. Like, I get it. It was a love triangle trope. That's how the story was. But the back and forth, I could not deal with it. I was like, there's no way you don't know by now. There's no way you don't know which one you prefer. You have to know. And then I said, why get married? It was like Belly was trying to prove she was over Conrad, even though everyone knows she isn't. It's just a disaster. They're planning the wedding. You know she's still in love with Conrad and she wants to be with him. Everyone around her knows it and is practically telling her it. They're also like 18. It seemed like they were just doing it in spite of Conrad, and Belly was doing it to prove to Jeremiah that she was over Conrad. And to prove to Conrad that she didn't want to be with him. It was just wrong in so many ways, and I was just so confused why that had to happen in a YA novel. I'm just like, why are we talking about marriages right now? They're literally 18. Can we stop? So that part was just peak frustration. I just felt like this one could have gone in a different direction. Like, maybe if they did like a fast forward and it was like when they were graduating college and they were like early 20s, but no, they're like 18, 19. That part bothered me a lot. I wrote something about Conrad again. So I said, why would you wait until the night before the wedding to finally tell Belly you love her? Like, his timing, deplorable timing. Get it together. You could have told her before. Like, you've known for years. The fact that he waited until the night before, you're just being dramatic for no reason. Like, I know you had to stop the wedding, but like, you should have told her months, years ago. Basically, long story short, this entire book, I was just frustrated and angry during every part. The whole book. So now I'm gonna get into the things that I didn't like about it and that I would maybe potentially change, just anything I had issues with. So first thing I said that I didn't like was how it wasn't in chronological order. Once I got into book 2, I started to get really confused with the flashbacks and just the timeline. They would jump around so much that I would just get confused what happened when, if that makes sense. It'd be like 5 years ago, a year ago, and when you're reading the book like that, it gets to a point where when you're in present day, you can't remember how the events happened and what order they happened in. I don't know if I'm explaining this well at all, but I just found it got too confusing and it was too much. And there'd be certain parts where I wouldn't know when one happened in relation to the other. I'd be like, was that before that? When did that take place? Was this 2 years ago? Like, I was just doing a lot of that. I don't know if that was just a me issue and I wasn't paying attention enough, because sometimes that happens, or if it was just too much. So let me know if you guys experienced that too, if you've read the full series. And then I also said Belly was so mean to her mom for no reason. Laurel was a pretty good mom and had some very amiable qualities. I don't know why Belly had to treat her like that. It was just to an extreme where I was like, I don't like reading this. Like, you're just being rude for no reason. And then I wrote down Belly and Taylor's friendship. I really didn't like their friendship. I thought it was very toxic. Like, there was certain points where they both just knew that they shouldn't be friends. Like, there's literally a part in one of the books, I think it's the second one, where Belly says that her and Taylor, the only reason they're still friends is like out of habit and just because they've always been friends. And that should never be the reason you're still friends with someone. Like, if you're not getting anything out of it and they're not a good friend to you, you don't feel like it's equal and it's not a healthy friendship, then it shouldn't be a thing. There's just so many parts where I was like, this is not a good friendship. Like, this is toxic. And I feel like both of them knew that and they just did nothing about it. And since this is YA, I feel like that really portrays the wrong message, and I never would want a teenager to read that and think that's okay. I don't know, I feel like sometimes you feel like you have to hold on to a friendship if you've been friends for a really long time. It's like, oh, we've been friends since kindergarten, we can't not be friends now, even though she's treating me like shit. And it's just like, no, like, if you're not having a good time and they don't feel like a good friend to you, feel free to leave at any time. Like, it's optional. I just wanted that for Belly. I wanted her to have like a really supportive best friend, and I wanted her to have healthy friendships. I think that was intentionally done though, because, you know, I feel like growing up you have a lot of issues with friendships and relationships in general. That also reminds me of a point that I didn't mention when I was talking about things I liked about it. I liked how all of these characters were so flawed. I felt like it was very reflective of how you are when you're in your teens teens. You make a lot of mistakes. You always think you know best. You make really selfish decisions. All of those aspects were present in all the novels, and I love how Jenny Han wrote teenagers. I felt like she really captured what that's like and the feelings they go through. So that part I thought she really got right, but I do think there is a difference between an imperfect relationship and a toxic one. So that's a very fine line, and I feel like her and Taylor's relationship was just toxic a lot of the time. And of course I didn't love reading about that. I wanted Belly to have a healthy relationship, of course. So yeah, didn't love that. And then I just wrote down the prom. That whole scene made me so angry, especially at Conrad. He just treated Belly like absolute shit, and I was just like, this is so not acceptable. This is so bad. He treated her so poorly, and she did not deserve that. Like, in my eyes, he had a lot of work to do after that scene. Can't remember if this happens in the second or the third book. I know it doesn't happen in the first, and they included it in the show, so I'm not sure. It's the part where Belly finds the infinity necklace that Conrad was gonna give to her, and she puts it on and starts wearing it. Like, I know she knew it was for her, but I would just never do that. I just didn't understand where she was coming from. I was like, why don't you ask him about it and say, like, why didn't you give this to me? I found this. Literally anything but what you did. And lastly, I'm gonna talk about the TV show a little bit. If you don't know, there is a TV show adaptation. It's on Amazon Prime. They do take details from the second and put it in season 1 of the show. So I'm glad I read all 3 books and not just the first one before I watched the show, because there are some details that will carry over and you'll notice that. So I would recommend reading the series first, of course. I always tell people to read the books first, mostly just because the books are always better. Not always, but I'd say 9 times out of 10 the books are always better. But some things I liked about the TV show: it had great summer vibes consistent with the books. I heard a lot of girls raving about the soundtrack, so I went in with expectations of that. I didn't really love it. Some of the songs were just very young and cringy, I thought, and I don't know, it just wasn't anything extraordinary, I didn't think. So yeah, that part I didn't really get the hype around. I really liked the casting. I thought they did a good job with that. I liked the actress that played Belly's character. Also, Jeremiah and Conrad I thought were cast pretty well. When I was reading the books, I already knew the casting of the TV show, so I was picturing those actors in my head as I was reading the books. I did think that worked. I loved the moms, Laurel and Susanna. They were awesome. I loved their characters in the TV show. I loved how the TV show portrayed their relationship. I thought it was a very imperfect but beautiful friendship. There were so many scenes with them that I really enjoyed, and I liked how they were more prevalent in the plot and they had their own storylines, made you feel like they had their own lives. They had a few subtle changes that I enjoyed. I liked how Conrad was working for Cleveland Cousteau or something like that. I liked how he was teaching him how to sail and all of those scenes. I'm sometimes iffy about plot changes in adaptations, but that one I enjoyed. There was also some scenes that I thought Belly and Jeremiah actually had some chemistry, like the pool scene. I liked the last few episodes. I also liked the 4th of July episode. I loved a lot of the scenes at the dead ball. There were some parts that are a little cringy and bad, but not too many. I also loved Cam in the series. I thought he was such a sweetheart, and I just wanted her to be with him. If I'm gonna be honest, I thought they were perfect together. When she broke up with him, I was just like, girl, why? That kind of leads me into the big question, which is, which team are you? For the longest time, I was like, no team. Like, she does not need to date either of them. Like, if I'm gonna be completely honest, I didn't want her to date either brother. Like, she needs to go to college and date someone without the last name Fisher. That's what needs to happen. And I was so excited when she started dating Cam because they had so much in common. And I was like, this is great. This is who she needs to go for. But with all of that being said, I'm Team Conrad. I'm like Team Belly, and then I'm Team Conrad because you know Belly loves Conrad more than Jeremiah. Also, personally, for myself, I would pick Conrad just because I'm not really attracted to Jeremiah's type. The very like extroverted, outgoing, goofy class clown. I also thought Conrad was cute in the show, so definitely Conrad if I had to pick, but if I had a third option, it would be neither. I thought it was a really good summer show. I feel like you'd be more into it if you're like a teenager. It was a little young for me, but I did still enjoy it. So I think that's all I wanted to mention about the series. Those are my full thoughts and opinions. I'm so glad I read this series this summer. I had a lot of fun reading it, so I would really recommend it, especially if it's still hot out, still summer where you live. I love a good YA every once in a while. They're great escapism, and sometimes it's just nice to read something where you don't have to be thinking too much, so they're great in that regard. But yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to mention. Thanks so much for watching the vlog. If you stayed until the end, comment down below anything you want. Let me know if you guys have read the series, watched the TV show, give me your thoughts and opinions, let me know which team you're on. Anything about The Summer I Turned Pretty, I'd love to hear from you. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!